Good evening. This is CTV News for Monday, December 7th, 2015. I'm Byron Scott. Thank you for joining us. Well, President Obama addresses the nation and vows to destroy ISIS. The president making those remarks from the Oval Office last night. Calling Wednesday's mass shooting in California an act of terrorism, he says it was committed by people who had gone down the dark path of radicalization. Now, the address was an attempt to reassure Americans that his plan to rid the world of the threat of ISIS is working.
We will destroy ISIL and any other organization that tries to harm us. Our success won't depend on tough talk or abandoning our values or giving in to fear. That's what groups like ISIL are hoping for. Instead, we will prevail by being strong and smart, resilient and relentless.
And the president also warned against mass deployment of ground troops and getting drawn into a long, costly war. Well, in the wake of last week's gun massacre in California, former State Attorney Glenn Ivey is calling on Congress to stand up to the NRA and pass comprehensive gun control legislation. Ivey, who is running for the 4th Congressional District, has released his own plan. It calls for universal background checks on all gun sales, bans on assault rifles, and high-capacity magazines. Ivey's proposal also calls for expanded inspections of gun dealerships. Meantime, Republican Governor Larry Hogan tells the Baltimore Sun that gun control laws are not the only answer to mass shootings. He says Maryland has some of the toughest gun policies in the country, yet the murder rate remains high in places like Baltimore. And according to AAA Mid-Atlantic, the number of distracted driving citations issued by D.C. has decreased over the past few years. Nonetheless, lawmakers making a push for stricter penalties for violations. Stephen Majid has more on the story.
Well, being behind the wheel of your car can be one of the most dangerous places, especially when you're using devices like your cell phone. And although the number of distracted driving citations has decreased since 2012, the number of car accidents has not.
You're distracted between 15 seconds to as much as 27 seconds.
Distracted driving is one of the main causes of vehicle crashes. In 2012, the district issued over 8,000 citations. In 2014, that number dropped significantly, according to AAA Mid-Atlantic. But spokesperson John Townsend says it's not because people aren't violating the law.
So the number of tickets have decreased because people are more sophisticated about hiding their cell phone use, because of all the gadgets that we have now on cell phones, especially on smartphones, which have one of the best speaker systems available. You can put the device down on your lap and still drive, but you're just as distracted. Right
now in the district, drivers run the risk of a $100 ticket if caught texting or talking on the phone while behind the wheel. This is less than Maryland's $160 fine. But if a new bill passes, D.C. could have one of the strictest distracted driving penalties in the country.
If a person is found guilty of distracted driving for the 3rd time in an 18-month period, his driver's license and his vehicle registration will be suspended for a 6-month period. It increases the fine for the 3rd offense to $400, which will be the highest fine in the region and one of the highest fines for distracted driving in the entire nation.
Now, some police stations are testing radar devices that will be able to tell if a person is texting and driving. In Largo, I'm Stephen Majid, CTV News.
A district council committee is holding a public hearing on the bill tomorrow. Well, officials are vowing to improve 2 dangerous intersections in Clinton. Back in September, a local couple died in a car crash here at Kirby Roads and Tinkers Creek Drive. From 2008 to 2011, the nearby intersection of Piscataway and Floral Park Roads has seen an average of 4 crashes a year. The State Highway Administration is holding an informational workshop tonight on ways to improve the Piscataway and Floral Park cross-section. The meeting, open to the public, runs from 6 to 8 at the Surratt's Clinton Library. Well, here's the latest on the trial of a Baltimore City police officer charged in the death of Freddie Gray. Judge Barry Williams announcing this morning that juror number 8, a woman, has been excused because of a medical emergency. A male alternate will take her place, shifting the makeup of the jury to 7 women and 5 men. This is the 6th day of the trial of Officer William Porter, the first of the 6 cops to be tried in the case. Well, Prince George's is added to the list of areas across the nation supporting President Obama's executive actions on immigration reform. County Executive Rashawn Baker joining more than 80 other city and county leaders who are filing a friend of the court brief with the U.S. Supreme Court in the case Texas v. United States. The group's Cities United for Immigration Action is calling on the judiciary branch to help provide temporary relief from deportation and work authorization to undocumented individuals who are in good standing.